What up guys, Gozen here for AnimeUproar, and today we're going to be looking at the top 10 facts you probably didn't know about Overlord. I have recently binge watched the whole series up to the latest episode and I'm hooked. So I thought that while I wait for the next episode, I'd make a video about it for you guys. This is our first Overlord video on the channel, so if you want to see more Overlord videos, make sure to smash that like button, let me know. If you haven't already, subscribe and ring that magical YouTube bell to join the notification guild, the most OP guild on YouTube, I assure you. For the many of you that voted for the next MHA video on Instagram and Twitter, thank you. I will add up the votes today and start working on a video for the winner promptly. Now without further ado, let's get into the Overlord facts. Fact number 1. There are many versions of Overlord. Overlord started out as a web novel on a Japanese fanfiction website called Arcadia. The author's pen name was originally Muchimuchi Puririn, but he later changed it to Maruyama Kugane. Maruyama picked Arcadia at first because that is where he would read other web novels. But there was an incident in 2011 where people couldn't even access the site, and the very existence of Arcadia was at risk. So Maruyama moved Overlord to Let's Become a Writer, a Japanese website for aspiring light novel authors. This same website was also home to ReZero and Konosuba before they became light novels and eventually anime. Maruyama read a lot of web novels, but couldn't find many that really appealed to him, so he decided to write one. He said in an interview that writing Overlord really felt like writing fanfiction. He took things he found hard to accept in web novels he was reading and changed it around in his own way so it would make sense. For instance, one of the reasons he made the Guardians NPCs or non-player characters is because he found it difficult to believe that a regular Japanese salaryman could rule with absolute authority over extremely loyal servants otherwise. Afterwards, Overlord was acquired and published by Enterbrain, a Japanese publishing company owned by Kadokawa. The first light novel, Overlord Volume 1 The Undead King, was released in 2012. The light novel series is illustrated by Sobin. The manga adaptation by Satoshi Oshio was released in 2014, and finally in 2015 we got the Overlord anime. The anime is adapted specifically from the Overlord light novels. The 2 Overlord recap movies were released in theaters in 2017, and they also included some changes and additions. As you can see, there have been many versions of Overlord, and it all started with a guy writing what he considered to be fanfiction, which is crazy to think about. I can't express how happy I am that the result was an awesome series like Overlord rather than another 50 Shades of Grey. Fact number 2. There are huge differences between the initial web novel and the subsequent light novels. In an interview, Maruyama said that the main reason he changed things was because the light novel was being published and people would have to pay money for it. Because they were paying money, he wanted the light novel version to be enjoyable even to his fans, who had already read the web novel. He wanted these loyal readers to get new surprises reading the novel version, and oh boy, did they ever get surprised. For instance, you guys remember the Swords of Darkness from season 1 in the anime? Well, they were called Acts of Cyclone in the initial web novel, and Momon, who is actually Narberal Gama and not Ainz in the original, works as a porter for them. Momon and the members of the Acts of Cyclone go their separate ways without anything bad happening. So I'm sure that the readers of the web novel were shocked by what ends up happening to the Swords of Darkness. I know I was shocked, and I didn't even know that they were fine in the original. There are even bigger changes than that. For example, Albedo, the best girl for many people watching the anime, isn't even a character in the original web novel. By the way, let me know who the best girl in Overlord is in your opinion. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. But back to the shocking fact that Albedo didn't even exist in the web novel. Instead, Demiurge is the overseer, but even he has changed significantly. His initial appearance was much more like a conventional devil. For instance, he had horns and red skin. These are not all of the changes. Trust me, there are plenty more, but we gotta move on. I gotta say though, I'm very glad that we got Albedo, and that Demiurge looks as cool as he does now. This version definitely reminds me of Alucard. I'm sad about what happened to the Swords of Darkness. but it only made Ainz' revenge all the sweeter. Fact number 3. There was a popularity poll conducted for Overlord. Ainz ul Gon placed number 1 and got almost 40,000 points by himself, which shows just how popular not only Ainz is, but how popular Overlord is in general. In second, we got Albedo with over 11,000 points. Crazy to think that the most popular female character wasn't even in the original version. I bet Maruyama is psyched that he added her now. Third was Narber Gama, fourth was Evil Eye, interestingly enough, fifth was Shaltir, and sixth was Demiurge. The great Pandora's actor even placed well at 9th, despite having relatively little screen time in the anime. Let me know in the comments if any of these results surprised you and who you would have voted for. Fact number 4. Interestingly enough, character profiles were released where each character gets a karma level, which is where they're aligned between good and evil. Some characters like Hamtaro over here have a neutral alignment and score a 0 for sense of justice. However, someone like Sabas, the Butler of Steel, has a great good alignment and a score of 300 for sense of justice. This makes sense, especially considering what we know about his creator, Lord Touchme. What may catch you off guard is that both our hero Ainz and main heroine Albedo have an extremely evil alignment and score a negative 500 for sense of justice, which is the most evil score I could find. This is one of the things I find really interesting about this show. Our protagonists would often be considered the bad guys in other shows. It's kind of like Skeletor got super OP and got his own show. However, although Ainz is okay with killing and no saint by any means, Maruyama has defended him in an interview. He also calls Ainz and the others an evil army, but he stresses the fact that they can't be labeled completely evil. He says, and I quote, "The world of Overlord operates on the law of the jungle, so I write as if the strong are good and the weak are bad. While some may view their actions as evil, they act on their perception of good. For example, you would be confused if someone said you're evil for stepping on an ant, right?" End quote. So there is a more complicated morality system at play in the world of Overlord. This is illustrated beautifully during the beginning of Season 2 when we are following the perspective of the lizard people who are being harassed and some killed because of Ainz' orders. Let me know what you think. Is Ainz evil, or is he just a higher being who should not be held responsible for killing lower life forms? All I know is that the combination of an overpowered and arguably amoral protagonist has definitely made for an interesting story so far. Fact number 5. In an interview, Maruyama has suggested that he's already more than halfway done the story of Overlord. So far, there are 13 volumes of the Overlord light novel series that have been released. Maruyama says that in his head, he has enough ideas to write 50 volumes, but he doesn't plan to write 50. Rather, he suggested that the story of Overlord is probably going to be closer to 20 volumes, while 30 volumes worth of the story will be cut out of it. He said even up to this point, he had plenty of things he thought out, but didn't actually write, since it is his belief that it's not good to make a story too big either. That would mean that over 60% of the story has already been written. If he were to go up to 20 volumes, that could possibly mean about 4 more 13 episode anime seasons after this one, since one season is usually made up of 3 light novel volumes. Still though, writers including mangakas often underestimate how long it will take to finish a story, so there is still hope that we'll get even more Overlord. Plus, with 13 volumes out, they already got enough material for season 4, so we might not have to wait that long after season 3 for more. Since I personally just got into the series, I selfishly hope that it will be going on for a long time to come. Fact number 6. Maruyama was asked about what he would write after Overlord, and he said he would want to write something the exact opposite of Overlord, like a modern school romance comedy with a lot of girls. And he says he even wants to write about pro wrestling as well, although he hasn't thought it out too much. Having just finished my last and longest research paper for graduate school myself, I gotta say I totally understand how he feels when he says he wants to do something completely different when he's done with his project. Nevertheless, I hope that it will be a good while before the great Ainz ul Gon must move aside to make room for a rom-com about high school girls or even a pro wrestler, although the latter might be kind of cool. If we're being honest, I definitely check them both out since I love Maruyama's sense of humor. Fact number 7. Maruyama, the creator of Overlord, is shrouded in mystery. Although some creators don't like to show their face and sometimes wear cool supervillain masks to interviews, I'm looking at you, Horikoshi. Maruyama takes it to another level. There is no pictures of him online, so you can imagine that people were hyped when they heard he was going to be coming to Anime Expo in 2018 and they'd finally get to see him. However, according to an Anime News Network article, he remained hidden behind a black hood and a Halloween skull mask like Ainz Ul Gon on Casual Fridays. He even commented that the LA heat was much too hot even for a skeleton like myself. Like always, everything, aside from the heat, went according to the Supreme One's plans, and his mysterious aura remained intact. Fact number 8. Maruyama said that one of the reasons that he started writing was because his TRPG, i.e. tactical role-playing game, group stopped gathering. This was interesting because this is very similar to how Overlord starts. Near the beginning of the show, Ainz slams his desk on the table because he's frustrated that his group members stopped showing up to play because they got busy with their real lives. This scene left a lasting impression on me. I found it believable. Our protagonist's simultaneous feelings of frustration and sadness felt so real. I took a mental note of that and I didn't think about it again until I came across this interview, where Maruyama explains that he was in a very similar situation. Now it makes sense how Maruyama was able to convey these emotions so convincingly because he must have been going through them at the time. He knew exactly what it felt like to have people move on with their daily lives without him. In this interview, it does not specify what kind of TRPGs he played with his friends, although according to Maruyama's bio on My Anime List, he played Dungeons & Dragons with them, but they eventually got too busy to play with him. They say everything happens for a reason, and although it must have been difficult for Maruyama to deal with at the time, it was in part because his group disbanded that we got this amazing series. The world, like Maruyama, works in mysterious ways. Fact number 9. Now, once more, we must return to the sacred topic of Best Girl. Although Maruyama refuses to answer who his favorite character is, he did answer who is Best Girl in Overlord at the Anime Expo Q&A. It wasn't Albedo, Evil Eye, or even Shaltier. It was the girl that placed 26th on the popularity poll, none other than Renner, the Golden Princess. But it is his reasoning that's the most interesting part of his answer. He picked Renner because, according to the creator himself, she's the most absolutely messed up in the head. The anime director Naoyuki Ito responded that all the female characters are completely crazy in some way, so they all have to be best girl for him. But man, now I don't know if I should feel good or bad for Climb, since on the one hand, the best girl loves him, but on the other hand, that girl is only best girl because she's the craziest of the crazy. I don't know, let me know your thoughts on this pressing matter. Fact number 10. The man who voiced Ainz in the Overlord dub is Chris Guerrero, who also voiced Inspector Hound in My Hero Academia. Guerrero was also at Anime Expo with the creator and anime director. He gets some bonus points in my book because when asked what his favorite part of the Overlord anime was so far, he responded the fight at the end of season 1 between Shaltier and Ainz, and I totally agree. The fight was epic, especially seeing Ainz have to use strategy rather than simply overpowering his opponent. As Cocutus pointed out, for the first time, Ainz was in a fight where he, according to The Guardian, was fighting against the odds, and the ending was oh so rewarding. The director of the dubbing process was also there and agreed with Guerrero, and also mentioned the scene with Clementine in season 1, when, to quote the dubbing director, Ainz just gives a nice girl a nice hug. That was definitely another one of my favorite moments since the build up to it was so good, and it made the revenge so satisfying. Okay, so I feel like as I'm talking about Overlord, my alignment keeps moving more and more on the evil side, so I should probably start wrapping it up. Make sure to let me know what your favorite moment of Overlord was so far in the comments. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching the first video about Overlord on this channel, a truly historic day to be sure. Keep in mind that at Anime Expo, Maruyama said that while he was excited for everyone to see the premiere, he's been more excited than anything for people to see how this, the third season, will conclude. so you guys can bet this season is gonna be an epic one. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button to let me know. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button and ring that magical bell to join our OP guild. Feel free to leave suggestions in the comments for what Overlord video you would like to see next. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.